Hello and welcome to Rappler Talk. I am Ralf Rivas. Ngayong gabi ay pag-uusapan natin itong bagong disenyo ng 1,000 peso bill. Ilalatag muna natin kung ano ang alam natin tungkol dito sa issue. Una-una, ang Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas ay maglalabas ng nasa 500 million pieces ng polymer banknotes na 1,000 pesos. Polymer, ibig sabihin plastic na ito. Iba yung material na gagamitin, plastic imbes na papel o cotton at abaka. I-release nila ito simula next year, mga second quarter, mga April or May, at hanggang 2022, hanggang 2025. Test circulation ito para tingnan kung ano nga ba, kung magiging epektibo ba or magiging okay ba, matatanggap ba ng mga Pilipino itong mga plastic banknotes. Kasi yung plastic kasi ay iba yung material. Tatanggapin ba ito ng mga ATM machines? Paano kapag nabasa? Magiging sticky ba ito? So, lots of considerations. Kaya naman, ititesting yan ng Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Pero, yung nagkagulatan na lang over the weekend, na itong si BSP Governor Benjamin Diokno ay naglabas ng banknote showing na Philippine Eagle na yung bibida. Wala na yung mga mukha nila Jose Fallanes Escoda, Jose Abad Santos at Vicente Lim dito sa polymer banknotes. So yun yung talagang naging issue, no? Pero ang sinasabi ng BSP ay magko-coexist. Ibig sabihin, mag-iimprenta pa rin ng polymer banknote at mag-iimprenta rin ng paper banknote. Yung sa paper banknote, nandun pa rin ang mga mukha ng mga bayani. Pero yun na nga, parang maraming tanong. Parang is this a prelude na baka magbago ang disenyo ng ibang bills? Bakit pa? What's the point na kailangan palitan? Nandyan naman na yung, di ba, papel, ay yung disenyo with the heroes. And on that note, makakausap natin ngayon si Desiree Ann Cua Banipayo. Siya po ay isang award-winning author at ang great-grandniece ni Jose Abad Santos. She is the author of Honor, the Legacy of Jose Abad Santos, which won the Best Nonfiction Book at the 2019 National Book Awards. And the book was also adapted into a movie and was given the A rating by the Cinema Evaluation Board of the Philippines. Good evening, ma'am. And thank you in advance. I have not received your book yet. I know you're sending me. I will read it. I have not seen the movie as well, but I will watch it as soon as I can.
Baka nandiyan na si Lala Ryder. Good evening, Ralph. Good evening to everyone watching Rappler Talks tonight. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for your time. Now, dito sa issue na to, sinabi na ni Governor Diokno na may paper banknotes pa rin naman, and it will coexist with the polymer banknotes with the Philippine Eagle on it. I know you were furious like the other descendants upon hearing the news, pero with this clarification by Governor Diokno and the BSP, is that enough?
Actually, for me, it wasn't a clarification. It was more confusing. Parang, why should there be a second design? It's going to be really confusing to the public, first of all. Secondly, why alter a perfectly good design? It's worked for 30 years. In fact, tonight is the eve of the 30th anniversary of that 1,000 peso bill because it was released December 16, 1991. Diba, no? And how ironic that, our heroes who paved the way for our freedom and who shed their blood so that we can gain our freedom are the ones needing saving now. Diba? So for me, the latest statement of Governor Diokno was more confusing. And how are we to monitor that talagang magsa-circulate pa rin sila ng hero? And maybe the main question is, why another design? Diba? Plain and simple yung tanong nating lahat. Why make another design when the current one is working perfectly well?
Now, here's a quote from Governor Ben Diokno, no? Heroes will remain heroes whether they are in the notes or not. What's your response to that?
Oh, yeah. Nasaktan ako dyan. As a Filipino, nasaktan ako dyan when I read it, no? Parang it shows ano ba dyan, apathy? Parang ganyan. So if kunwari tayo na lang, lumigay tayo as common people. Let's say your grandmother who passed away. And how do you folks try to remember her? Diba? You have a picture of her in your house, you have stories about her, and you visit her grave, diba? In this sense, we don't have the graves of these three heroes. Lahat sila pinatay ng Hapon, resisting the Japanese. Their graves were never found after the war. And the only way we can pay tribute to them as a grateful nation is to memorialize them in our, 1,000 peso bill, which is our legal tender, our currency. So, kung mawawala pa yon, paano na sila maaalala ng future generations, di ba? Di ba nga, Ralph, merong kasabihan yun, out of sight, out of mind. So, it will be a case of that, pag tinanggal ng BSP sila sa 1,000 peso bill natin.
Mm. Now, the first batch of the first 1,000 peso banknote bearing the faces of the three heroes way back in 1991 pa yon. Pero would you recall or have you heard kung paano pinili yung tatlong bayani? Kung paano sila pinili?
Yeah, I think the numismatic committee then worked very hard to choose who the people, what shall we call this, heroes that are to be placed in the 1,000 peso bill. So yung naging decision nila was of course based on, first of all, they should bear the highest ideals of our country. They lived a life worth emulating. They sacrificed their lives for our country. And while they were, they lived exemplary lives as citizens of the country. So why did they choose three? Okay. So first of all, they chose Jose Abad Santos, who was Chief Justice at the time when he was executed by the Japanese, to represent the civil government. Okay. And then General Lim to represent the military or the armed forces, and Jose Fallanes Escoda, who represented civil society and the women's sector. So napakaganda nung nung pagpili sa kanila. And it was really hard. Natagalan din yung numismatic committee kasi they have to really dissect the lives of these three heroes just to be sure that they are placing the correct ones, diba? So pinaghirapan na yun noon, they have already put time and effort to choosing who the three people will be in our 1,000 peso bill. So I don't know now how fast that committee has kasi parang parang the railroad, parang wala no consultations with NHCP and basta na lang yan na yung design ha, parang ganyan, 'di ba, Ralph?
Well, actually sinabi ni Mandi Governor Diok that images of heroes and nature are both important for the quote preservation and promoting of our heritage, and changing themes are intended to accommodate and celebrate numismatic artistry and dynamism. So sinabi niya rin na like the heroes theme, the flora and fauna theme will demonstrate our pride and distinction as a people and nation. And sabi pa niya, kaya daw agila kasi it depicts strength and freedom of Filipinos, as well as the independence and clear vision of the BSP to achieve a better and more inclusive economy. So, your thoughts on the decision?
You know what? Check. Agree with everything. So can it not be can we not come up with a compromise? Kasi lahat naman yun importante, no? But for the longest time, sabihin na natin na there's changes every now and then because for counterfeiting reasons or what, diba? Or for numismatic artistry, but it has been changed, diba? But ni-iba lang nila yung typical some of the designs and the pictures. Like right now, parang as opposed to the older one, they are showing the parang younger version of the heroes and our presidents na nasa previous, nasa other denominations. So I agree with those words, but still we go to the point of why remove the heroes, diba? You can practice your numismatic artistry, we can celebrate our national wonders as part of our pride. Agree. But baka pwede sa likod yung natural wonders as naging nakasanayan na natin and trend na, di ba? Yun lang naman yung masasabi ko doon.
And actually, parang nag-backtrack yung BSP kasi initially they said that National Historical Institute, which is an old name of the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, approved it. But apparently, the NHCP denied that it was asked to approve. And parang sabi pa nga ni Chairman Rene Escalante ay all questions pertaining to the changes of the banknotes ay kailangan i-refer na sa BSP.
Yeah. Yes, NHCP has already said that they weren't consulted as to the design of the new bill. I think they were also taken by surprise nung lumabas yun. Well, I know for a fact that NHCP is supposed to be part of the numismatic committee. In fact, when they were doing the 5,000 peso bill, as part of the National Quincentennial celebrations, and I'm a follower of NHCP, every day yan, meron silang posts, updates of how the 5,000 bill will look like, what are the elements in the bill, and what would these elements stand for. Marami silang ganyan. For the 1,000 peso bill, wala. So which means, totoo yung sasabi nila na hindi sila na-consult. But, I have a big but. Hindi naman pwedeng iwanan na lang na please refer all your questions to BSP because NHCP, its very mandate is to promote Philippine history. They are the vanguards of our history, the protector of Philippine legacies. So maybe they have to do their part now. They already know the uproar that this redesign has made, and the flack that BSP got for this. So it can't be just a mere denial na hindi kami nakonsulta dyan, period. Hindi pwedeng ganun eh. Kailangan may magawa. Teka ha, meron akong screenshot kanina eh. Sandali ha. Meron akong screenshot about the mandate of the BSP. And sabi doon, wait lang ha, is yung dulo, so they had several functions. So the dulo is to para to settle historical disputes and issues. So isn't this a part of that? Hindi ba ito dispute and issue? Kasi if you open Facebook now, ang daming nag-uusap about this, di ba? So I think NHCP has to step in. It cannot be just a mere denial na, wala kami kinalaman dyan, spare us. I think I even read about that. Spare us. Or submit all your questions to BSP. I don't think that's enough. I think NHCP has to play a bigger role here. I have a lot of friends there, and I'm sure they are one with us, in wanting to not remove our heroes from the 1,000 peso bill. So this is a call to action probably to NHCP as well, not just BSP. Okay. Yun lang naman, Ralph. My 2 cents worth about that.
Hindi rin nakakakilala.
Ralph?
Sa tatlong Hello, am I back?
Hello, yes.
Yes.
Internet
sorry,
problems.
nako, technical internet problems. Ayan. So, going back to my point, parang ang dami namang hindi nakakakilala din sa mga bayani ito. But I guess this is the silver lining. Pinag-uusapan natin ito ulit. Although at a very, unfortunate time na baka wala sila doon sa polymer banknote. Kung kailan, the banknote that's supposed to represent that we're moving forward with the plastic, no? I want to remind our audience na you're an author. Honor the legacy of Jose Abad Santos. Tell us a little about that. I think our 30-minute interview is not gonna be enough. So buod na lang po. Ano bang laman ng librong ito?
All right. I wrote the book in 2018 because I was so enthralled by Jose Abad Santos' life. It was actually supposed to be just research. I was actually just researching because my husband and I, Hindi po ako yung great-grand-niece, ha? Yung husband ko po yung not great, grand-nephew lang ni Jose Abad Santos. So, for a long time, I'm hearing family anecdotes about him. I said, napakagaling niya na tao. So, we decided to make a documentary as part of our advocacy for World War II history. So, this just started as a research. Hold on. Parang may pumapasok na, hindi ko alam paano to, sandali, ha? Yan. Anyway,
Sige
so
lang,
it
ma'am.
started as research for the docu-film. And then I got so much information na parang napakasayang. Parang I felt I owe it to the Filipino people, to have them, learn more about this wonderful person who served our country so willingly and so, what do you call that, with very high morality and principles. So I wrote the book. So that was the first time I wrote the book. Hindi naman ako author before. World War II history buff lang, history enthusiast, but no author. But so it was such an honor and a surprise that the book won the following year at the National Book Awards. So principally, it's about Jose Abad Santos and the wonderful life that he lived, the heroic way he died, and why the Filipinos should emulate him.
So, why should the Filipino emulate him? Ano bang ginawa niya?
Sige, kwento tayo ng konti. So, Jose Abad Santos was born in San Fernando, Pampanga, in 1886. So, that was 10 years before the Philippine Revolution. He had an elder brother, Pedro Abad Santos. Pedro was such an enlightened individual. Medyo pasaway at palaban. Ganun yung dating ni Pedro. So, naging siya. He was part of the Philippine Revolution. He started as a captain under the Pampanga forces at the time. Sino nga yun? Under General Hizon. So, Jose, at the time, was 10 years old. He acted as courier na for the Katipuneros. Running from San Fernando to Angeles to Mabalacat, sending messages, bringing food to the Katipuneros. And why? Because of his brother, di ba? Paano naman malalaman na isang 10-year-old yun? So anyway, this continued until he was 12 when it was time for the Philippine-American War. Of course, his older brother Pedro also fought in the Philippine-American War, and Jose continued being a courier. So that young, his heroism, his patriotism was already in the fore. Kita mo na sa kanya. Anyway, after that, when everything was pacified after the Philippine-American War, he was a very bright student, and his teachers all, at the time, there was a new program by the American colonial government, pensionado program, where they chose intelligent kids, smart kids, to be sent to the US to further their studies. So he was, and there was a very competitive test. So he took the test and he bested thousands of other applicants to be in the second batch. So the first batch of pensionados was sent to the US 1903. So he was part of the second batch in 1904. So there he pursued his law degree at the University of Northwestern University in Illinois. And then he pursued his master's degree at George Washington University, master's degree in law. So all in all, he spent 5 years in the US at that time. And then he came home and worked for the government because parte yun ng deal. Okay, we send you to the US, and how many years we sent you there, you should parang repay ng years of service also here. So he started with the government as a lowly clerk, at the National Archives at the time, because of his knowledge of Spanish, English, and mainly the two main languages being used then. Wala pa naman tayong main national language, di ba? So he started as a lowly clerk in the National Archives. Yun ngayon na ayuntamiento natin sa Intramuros, yung ni-renovate nila. So he started there and then worked his way up, became assistant solicitor general, until he became Secretary of Justice in 1922 under Governor General Leonard Wood. And he became Secretary of Justice for 5 more Governors General until the Commonwealth kay President Quezon. And in 1932, he became part of the Supreme Court. So noong time na yon, the choosing of the justices of the Supreme Court was very, very stringent, no? At the time, since we were still under the U.S. at the time, there were 9 judges, 5 Filipinos and 4 Americans. And yung nomination has to go through the U.S. Congress, Senate, and then the President. So ang grabe yung napaka-stringent nung pag-choose. So anyway, to cut it short, he was nominated and appointed. His nomination was approved, and he became our part of the Supreme Court as a Supreme Court justice. And in 1941, he became our Chief Justice, just about the time when war broke out. And he was one of President Quezon's legal advisors, and Quezon really trusted him. In fact, Quezon said, he said he favored Abad Santos above all of his other, colleagues in government because he's the only one who says no to me. So ganun siya he doesn't kowtow. Hindi porket friends tayo o siya, no? And he has proven this high integrity, high moral integrity time and again when he was the Secretary of Justice. Even yung kamag-anak niya na dapat appointed na or napasok sa job because of of their own merits, hindi niya pinapatuloy kasi sabi niya it's not right that I'm in government and then you're there kahit na hindi sila magka-same department, di ba? So in fact, when he was asked to choose his aide-de-camp or security or secretary or assistant, at the time daw yung cabinet always chose a relative or a son. At the time I was told, no, but he refused to do that kasi nga sabi niya why, parang it's not proper, di ba? Napakataas ng delikadesa niya, in other words. He's worth emulating, and kung lahat lang ng government officials natin are like him, naku po, ang napaka-progressive na siguro natin. Sorry bato-bato sa langit. Anyway, so, and when war broke out, Quezon was told to just choose 3 people to be his wartime cabinet because of the exigencies of war. Just 3. So he chose, of course, President Osmeña as Vice President Osmeña kasi he was the Vice President. And he chose General Basilio Valdez, who was the head of our armed forces then, or the Philippine Army, and Abad Santos. So all the cabinets were parang na-summarize sa 3 tao na yun. So grabe, no? They were deciding on matters of war and instructions from Washington, and they had to go to Corregidor. So 3 lang silang sinama ni Quezon sa Corregidor upon Arthur's advice because yun nga, the Japanese was already coming into Manila. So from Corregidor, the cabinet moved to the Visayas in February, and then by March, Washington was telling Quezon to leave the country and to go into exile, maging government in exile sila in Washington DC, so as not to be captured by the Japanese. But of the 3 cabinet members, Abad Santos was the one who said, Mr. President, I wish to stay and help with the resistance. I want to go to Cebu and start the resistance there, help with the resistance. Cebu being our parang second capital, di ba? So he did. He stayed on, and before Quezon left, as parang as a proof of his deep confidence in Abad Santos, he drafted this executive order saying that Abad Santos was the acting president at the time. So he was the acting president at the time, the highest Commonwealth official when Quezon left, no? And it's all in the book, no? It's documents, everything, it's all in the book. So parang Abad Santos continued. He was a one-man government then. At the time, yung sa Manila naman, if you go to Manila, the Executive Commission was formed now with Laurel, Vargas, and all the other people who cooperated with the Japanese. And they even sent him a messenger around March na, "Lika na sa Manila, sama ka na sa amin." So he denied, sabi niya, I will never collaborate with the Japanese. And I have I was given this role by President Quezon to continue, to start the resistance. So sadly, on April, he was caught in Cebu along with his son. And for 3 weeks, he was held by the Japanese. No? Nung nalaman ng Japanese na, wow, prize catch pala itong nahuli natin. So he was interrogated on so many matters, daily interrogations. His son's diary would say they took tatang for hours, and when he came back, he never looked broken, but you can see that he was really tired from all the interrogations. But despite a 3-week ordeal, he never budged, no, and he chose death rather than collaborate with the Japanese. So the Japanese wanted him, first of all, to collaborate, to of course spill all the secrets of the Commonwealth government, to broadcast to the USAFE to surrender. So, lahat yan, hindi niya inano. Sabi niya, I would rather die than live in shame. Sabi niya sa after niya, sumigaw siya, I would rather die than live in shame. And he's a very calm and, pacific and calm man. Para mapapagalit siya ng ganun, inis na siguro siya. So, sabi niya, I would rather die than live in shame. So, eventually, the execution order came out, and his son was with him at the time. And his son was crying, and he said, let me talk to General Kawaguchi. That was the Japanese general, and plead for your life. But his son in his diary said that, but Tatang would not hear of it. Ay parang sinabi niya na this is already parang done deal na. Parang huwag mo nang baguhin, parang ganyan. So anyway, of course, Pepito was crying. The son Pepito was crying, and then there he told his son the very famous words na, do not cry, Pepito. Show them that you are brave. It is an honor for one to die for one's country. Sabihin mo nga sa akin, Ralf, kung paano yung mindset na yun, di ba? What would have compelled you to give up your life? Di ba? So, I can't fathom it. Parang what would have compelled? He could just have, collaborated and sat down easy, drink coffee in his balcony and stuff, diba? And could have lived, happy and
like the others did.
Diba?
Like the other officials
but
did.
No, he decided to pay with his life rather than collaborate with the enemy. So yan ang mga ini-emulate natin. So, diba, no? Alam mo yung kunento ko na yun, sobrang tip lang of the, of the many things that he has done for our country. Yun.
Actually,
parang
we have a question. We have a question here. Pala, parang,
breaking up.
If you can, yung lineage mo, where do you trace your lineage? Parang, how are you related as the great-grandniece? Can you hear me, ma'am? Can you hear me?
Actually, you're breaking up.
Wait. Ayan, ma'am. Can you hear me now?
No, you're still breaking up.
Sure. And also, by the way, Megan, he sent me a link sharing it.
Sorry, I was trying to fix. Hello, Ralph. Can you hear me?
Hi, ma'am. Can you hear me now? Okay, okay. Nako, we have sorry for that technical difficulties. Part of the new normal, I suppose, this pandemic. Yeah, I mean, we have uh, lots of issues regarding this. But if you can also tell us very, very briefly the lives of Jose Falanes Escoda and Jose Vicente Lim, and how their stories complement with the story of Jose Abad Santos. Very, very briefly.
Yeah, right. All right. Jose Falianes Escoda was one of the prime movers of the feminist movement in the Philippines. No, she was also a bright student. Was sent to the U.S. when he worked. She worked for the Red Cross for a time, and the American Red Cross, seeing her potential, sent her to the U.S. to further her studies. So she finished her master's degree in social work at the Columbia University. So when she came back, she became active in at the time the brewing feminist movement and the suffrage movement, and she became the president of the National Federation of Women's Clubs, and they were the sila yung nag-push na para talagang mabigyan ng suffrage yung women at the time, no. They fought for that, and it was a long and hard process, but eventually now tayong mga kababaihan, when we go to the polls, wala na tayong hindi natin iniisip, 'di ba? But at the time they weren't even allowed to vote. And si Jose Falianes Escoda was one of those who fought for the right to vote. So wag natin yun kakalimutan, talo tayong mga women, no. And when war broke out, as president of the National Federation of Women's Clubs, so parang na-charm niya yung yung Japanese into allowing her to bring food and supplies to the POW camp. So at the time, after the death march, all the Filipino and American troops were concentrated in Camp O'Donnell in Capas Tarlac. So there were like 50, 60,000 of them, miserable conditions, no food, no water, diseases, thousands dying every day. So here comes Jose Falianes Escoda with her, humanitarian heart and her connect with the National Federation of Women's Clubs and many charitable organizations. She started sending food and supplies to the POWs. That was just the base. But the bigger part was at the time, so may para kumbaga may media blackout at the time, no? So the Filipinos who had sons in Bataan, wala man balita, buhay ba yung anak nila or patay, ganyan, di ba? So what Jose Falianes Escoda did was, while doing this work, covertly she was getting names, addresses, details from the soldiers, and she mobilized the women's groups, the different women's groups, kalat kasi yan all over the Philippines, no, to help here, i-disseminate sa families na eto si ganito, private ganyan, buhay pa siya and he's in Capas, ganyan. And also the other part was yung letters naman from families, they smuggled in. Bawal na bawal yun sa Hapon at the time. So she risked really her life, no? And another thing that she was known for was the founder of the Girl Scouts of the Philippines. Yes, she was. No? She even went to the States for training in 1932. And in 1933, nabuo na yung Girl Scouts of the Philippines. And kaya she's said to be the founder of the Girl Scouts of the Philippines. And marami pa silang ginawa, no, during the war na she started the role of the women in resistance during that time. And sobrang dami niyang aside from that, she was making sure that the poor in Manila were getting fed. All the males marami sa ating males were incarcerated or became guerrillas, leaving the women to fend for themselves. So the National Federation of Women's Clubs, she organized, she parang inano niya yung mga volunteers nila that the working women, para matulungan, ginawang daycare yung kanilang National Federation office. So volunteers help so that the mothers can go to work. No? Kasi talagang napakahirap ng panahon na yun. You can never imagine, magbasa ka man, that was, I think, the 3.5 darkest years of our history. So she did everything she could to help not just our POWs, but also the internees in the internment camps, people of Manila. And finally, she was always parang nagdududa din sa kanya yung Hapon, but she would always charm her way out. But in 1944, her husband Tony Escoda was caught with General Lim because they were supposed to go to Australia, to MacArthur. And then 2 months after, the Japanese came for Josefa. And actually, friends were telling her na stop na your humanitarian work kasi mapapahamak ka, ganyan. But she didn't. Sabi niya, even if the roles were reversed, if the Japanese were the prisoners this time, I would still help. So ganun siya ka-wonderful na person. And on that day in August 1944, the Japanese, a truck of Japanese sentries came for her. And several soldiers flanked this 4 feet, several inches tall woman in front of her 2 children at the time. And bago siya mahuli, she knew she was going to be taken na. Sabi niya dun sa eldest si Teresa, who became the CCP president in the 1990s. Teresa Escoda to play the piano so that she won't see. Okay? So Teresa said years after that, that was my last memory, was hearing the door slam shut and not seeing her mother again. So she was brought to Fort Santiago, perhaps tortured, interrogated, and she was last seen January 1945, beaten and weak, and they were all brought to the North Cemetery, and there was executed, along with many other resistance fighters. But she was the highest official of the National Federation of Women's Clubs to be executed by the Japanese. Napakarami ng ginawa ng gera to help.
Yeah, and of course, you mentioned General Lim. Of course, we know the story. Kasama pa siya dun sa diba, sa Bataan Death March. And
yes, he was.
He was able to survive, and tawag dito, parang nakalaya pa siya. Di ba, ma'am? Parang,
and he was the first Filipino West Point graduate, and then when war broke out, he chose the field command. Deputy Chief of Staff siya, pwedeng sitting pretty na lang siya sa likod, di ba? But he chose a field command because he said, that's where I can serve better. So 41st Division was given to him, and all his soldiers were green and untested, but they won battles against the Japanese. They were victorious in the small battles against the Japanese. But eventually, when, after 5 months of fighting, no supplies, disease, malaria, and what have you, we had to surrender, right? And he was with the Bataan Death March and was with his soldiers at Capas, Camp O'Donnell concentration camp. And when napalaya na, the Filipinos were pinalaya, but the Americans were not, no? He feigned sickness. Tawag dyan, kinunsyaba na yung doctor niya sa PGH to say na he's not fit. Nagsakit-sakitan, in other words, kasi Laurel was sending feelers to him to head the constabulary. Sabi niya, I don't want to work for the puppet government, di ba? I don't want to serve the Japanese. So he feigned sickness and the collaboration with this doctor to say, yun nga, nakakaaliw, di ba? But even though he was in PGH, nagkukunwaring sakit, di ba? He was, gathering intel. Marami siyang, underground activities. And then that led to him going to supposedly to the Visayas and to MacArthur's headquarters in Australia by 1944. Doon sila nahuli. So yung bangka na sakay nila, he already told the people na huwag kayo magdadala ng armas. They were pretending to be probably peasants and fishermen. And yung sinerge yung boat, may 2 barel na dala nung kagrupo nila. So yun dun sila nahuli. And witnesses said that, he was also last seen, he and Tony Escoda, the husband of Jose Pallares Escoda, at the North Cemetery also, where they were beheaded and killed by the Japanese. So yan yung mga tao na, resisted and lumaban and rightfully should belong in the 1,000 peso bill.
Now, okay, we don't have much time now, but very briefly, ma'am, what are you going to do moving forward now that yun nga, yung polymer banknotes mukhang good to go na to, na ito na yung design. Now, if they want to launch the new design by the second quarter, parang dapat the soonest na yung pag-print. So, what's your action? Is there a petition? Ano bang, what's your next step?
Maybe I have to please to one to BSP and the other one to NHCP. No, first to BSP, please reconsider your new design. Switching to polymer does not mean you have to change the design. If you really want, if we take your premises at face value, saying na we have to also include the flora and fauna, which I think is a good objective, maybe you can put it at the back of the bill, no, at the reverse side. The obverse side, the front, should still bear the three heroes, because we cannot just forget our history. Yes, we have to showcase our majestic natural wonders, but I think one that really defined us as a Filipino was not the giant pearl. It was our history that defined us as a Filipino, and yun mga taong importante. Remember, Ralph, in all the paper currencies that we have, only the 1,000 peso bill has heroes, martyrs who sacrificed their lives. All the other paper currencies, paper, not counting the coins, all the other paper currencies have statesmen, past presidents, politicians. So if we look at it, the 1,000 peso bill is the most apolitical of it all. It's actually apolitical because hindi naman sila they were really heroes who gave up their lives so that in resisting the occupiers at the time. So BSP, please reconsider your design. Plus pa naman po siguro, and pwede po bang hindi 500 million pieces kung kung test run lang. Anyway, that's beside ano ko lang yon, dagdag ko lang. But please reconsider design. Maybe we can come up with a win-win situation where we put the heroes in front and the natural wonders at the back. So we value our Philippine history and our natural history at the same time. That's the BSP. And to the NHCP, we hope this is not the end. Sana po you release something, a statement or anything that would help us. Because it's actually, when I think about it, bakit ba ho kaming mga citizens na dito naghihirap na makiusap sa BSP, when in fact, dapat po na dyan kayo na nagtataguyod ng ating history. Di ba yan po yung pinaka-mandate niyo to promote Philippine history? So I hope you help us out in this petition, and let us not remove our heroes. It is very telling how our country pays tribute to our war heroes. So pag mawala pa po sila sa pera, yun na lang po yun, di ba? Hindi na sila maaalala, hindi sila makikilala ng future generations. And as with many other nations, important people, founding fathers are all in their bills. So why? Because it tells the nation's story. So sana po tulungan nyo kami dito sa aming petition na huwag na i-redesign. Or kung may redesign man, ilagay na lang po yung eagle sa likod. So yun lang po yung plea ng nakakaraming Filipino citizens as of now.
Okay. So, and I'll definitely keep a close eye on this issue. We'll continue to monitor this. But for now, thank you very much, Desiree Ann Cua Benipayo, award-winning author and great-grandniece of Jose Abad Santos. And I'm Ralf Rivas. In-law. And I'm Ralf Rivas. Thanks so much for watching Rappler Talk.
Thank you, Ralph.